Hey everybody, it's Matt from the house, and we got a lot of great products from all of our companies, but in this video, we're gonna show you some of our favorites from K2 for the 2021 season. Let's check this stuff out. First off, I wanna give a big shout out to my boy John at K2. Sent over some stuff. This pretty rad fold up rain poncho, enjoy it. Nice big K2 hit on the back. This thing's pretty sick, so big thanks to you, John. For park boards, we're gonna check out the Afterblack from K2. For that guy that likes to ride, park, the majority of the time, that's where you spend a lot of your time riding. And if you are riding outside the park, you might have a different board. But this thing actually does hold its own outside of the park as well. It is a twin tip shape. You can kind of tell from the graphic where if you just glanced at it, you can't tell what the nose or tail is because realistically, it's so twin it doesn't have a nose or tail. Also we're gonna do camber in the middle of this thing, tiny bit of rocker in the nose and tail. It's not much, it's just a little bit at your contact points to kind of lift those up, make the board a little more catch-free. When you stand on it too, it causes it to lift up and give you just a little bit more of that catch-free feel. But you still get that camber through the middle, so it's nice and powerful in and out of your turns, and also gives that extra spring and pop. Another cool thing about this board that they're actually doing is their carbon dark web. So it's basically some carbon strips that are going kind of on an X from your bindings out towards your contact points. And why that's important is that one, when you got a park board, usually it's a little softer. This one's a high-end park board, so it is a little stiffer, but you're gonna need that extra stability and you want that extra pop too. So by adding that carbon, it doesn't really stiffen up the board a lot, but what it does is when you flex it, it wants to get back to its position a little bit quicker, so it gives the board more spring and pop. The other thing that it does, a lot of people don't realize, is it actually adds stability as well. When you actually put that carbon outside of the bindings, and let's say you land and you're a little heavy on the front or you're a little heavy on the back, you're gonna flex that carbon and it's gonna do the same thing where it's actually gonna wanna get back to its original shape, so it's actually gonna help set you down and keep you from whipping out the back or going out the front. And then also in that X formation, we're actually transferring energy from your bindings out towards your contact points. Just give the board a little extra edge hold. So a little bit of carbon actually goes a long way in this thing. And if you spend over 50% of your time riding park, this is probably the board for you. Okay, next up for an all mountain board, here's the K2 Broadcast. Pretty sick graphic on this thing. This is gonna be your board, just kind of ride everywhere. You might spend a little time riding the park, but you're gonna want something that you can ride, kind of the whole mountain with. It's a little bit more of a directional shape on this thing. You can move your bindings forward a little bit, make it feel, a little bit closer to a twin, but it's got that little extra long kick in the tail, a little less in the, a little longer in the nose, a little less in the tail, just to give you that extra float when you do get into some deeper snow. Centered base on this thing, so it's nice and fast. And then this one does have a biaxial fiberglass, so it has a nice, easy feel, real smooth feel, but they're running carbon along the length of the board too to give it a lot of spring and pop, and also give it a lot of stability too when you're running it full tip to tail. You actually can make it softer board actually feel like a stiffer board when you need it to feel like a stiffer board, when it's flexing and stability wise too. Another cool thing about this board is that they're actually doing a camber in the middle, we're doing rocker in the tail, and we're doing actually rocker in the nose too, but there's a little bit more in the nose. So, this guy's probably gonna spend some time riding off the groomers, getting into some deep snow, and you want every advantage you can get, so it's gonna give the board a little bit more lift in the front, help the tail sit down a little bit in the back, just to make that riding the deep stuff a little easier. So again, you want that one board you can kind of ride everywhere. Broadcast is a great option. All right, next up for kind of that free ride and even power board, we're gonna check out the Alchemist. This is definitely one of my favorite boards this year. I haven't had a chance to get out and ride it yet, but I really want to. This thing just looks amazing. A lot of really cool tech in this thing as well. So obviously we've got a directional shape on this thing. A little bit more nose than tail, so you get that extra float when you get into the deep stuff. Tail wants to sit down, nose wants to lift up. But the one thing about it is if you're actually riding this on groomers, it actually doesn't feel as directional as it looks. So you basically get that extra float when you need it, but it doesn't feel weird if you're not riding it in the powder too. Also, we're doing a bambooya core. This thing, literally, it's bamboo core. It's virtually indestructible, and bamboo is super snappy and super lively. And of course, the board of this level, we're gonna do a triaxial fiberglass. Triaxial fiberglass has basically got, fiberglass going in 3 different directions. So we're getting a lot of snap, a lot of pop, and we're getting a lot of transfer of energy across the board too. Space glass tips in this thing, so it's basically very, very lightweight. You can actually see through it a little bit there, but it acts, a little less swing weight, a little less, when you got a little bit more in the nose there, you don't want to add any weight, so it actually helps keep the weight down on that nose, makes it a little easier to spin. And then spectral braid, that's the other thing that you can see in here. So it's pretty cool. So we actually have, the carbon is going at about a 45-degree angle here in the nose, but as it actually comes towards the middle, it actually kind of straightens it out. It kind of goes in like an arc. And what that does is here, you've got the carbon supporting itself, but in the middle, it goes along the length of the board, so it causes the middle of the board actually to be a little softer. Why that's important is that you get a lot of snap, a lot of pop, a lot of pressure going towards your edges where you need it, but then towards the middle of the board, it actually makes it a little easier in and out of your turns. It makes that torsional stability keep the board smooth, but still lively. So pretty cool feature in this board. And if you want that one board that you can ride absolutely anywhere, but you're probably not riding the park, for a good high-end option, this thing will last you for years, and it's got a lot of really, really cool tech in it to just keep you laughing all day long. All right, next up, we're gonna check out some of the bindings. So right off the bat, the formula. Bindings K2's had for a while. It's kind of a staple in their line. But with this one, we got some pretty cool features. We got a canted footbed where the outside of the footbed is lifted up a little bit, just giving you, straighten out your ankles a little bit. When you're standing on your snowboard, your ankles are automatically already bent. So they just help straighten it up, make it a little more comfortable to ride. High back on this one. Got flex where you need it. It's got stiffness where you need it. We've got the caddy ankle strap, super soft padded strap. And then we also have the perfect toe strap on there as well. And this basically kind of molds, and they've kind of, I think they've kind of cracked the code to find that one toe strap that fits, all of the boots, no matter what the shape is, really, really well, helps mold around that toe. And then the other classic thing about the K2 bindings is every adjustment you need to make, whether it's the high back, the straps, it's all toolless. So real easy to fine tune your binding. The only tool you actually need is going to be a screwdriver to put it on the board. All right, next up we have the Lein AT. This is definitely one of the more interesting bindings. This thing is pretty cool. I definitely would like to try a pair of these things out. But a lot of good feedback on these things. And they've got a pretty unique feature. And it's not just, with the high back, you've got that flex where you need it, stiffness where you need it, full toolless design on this thing. We got the sender strap, which is basically just molds right around your foot, so you actually get super good comfort, but also very quick response. But the really important thing about this is actually the tripod plate. So the bottom of this thing, you'll see these 2 blue pads, and there's actually a black one in the back here. So these are basically gonna help, obviously with some of the dampening on the board, but it's also gonna help how the board flexes and feels on your foot. Why this is really important is you've got this nice big pad across the back, 2 in the front here, but it actually does come with other densities. So you've got the yellow, you've got the red. So depending on how you want that binding to feel as it's going side to side, and also as the board is flexing, you can actually customize how that feels. The other cool thing about this too is in the back we have this solid pad that goes across, but you can actually pop this thing out, and you can actually sit a single pad in the back as well. So that way you can really fine tune, and that's why they call it the tripod. It's obviously got 3 different pods in there. But with this piece and with all of these extra pieces too, it really lets you fine tune how your binding feels on your board and how the board flexes around your binding. All right, next up we're gonna check out a couple of boots. First up, we got the Darko. Another staple in the K2 line. Pretty much this boot, they just got to do little upgrades on it here and there. But again, it's that good boot for the right price. All mountain, it's not too soft to ride outside the park. It's not too stiff to ride inside the park. But a lot of really cool features. We got the Intuition heat moldable liner, so you can make these things super custom fit by heating up the liner at your local shop. and then putting your foot in there, it basically molds right around your foot. Got super, super light outsole on this thing as well. And then they actually do a thing that's pretty cool. They call it the roll sole. So if you look at the bottom of the boot, you'll notice that it's a little more of a 90-degree angle on the outside of the sole, and it has a little more of a rounded edge on the inside of the sole. And again, that's a thing that kind of works where you get that extra stability on the outside, but it allows a little bit of roll inside the binding, and it's not a lot like you're going to, your foot's gonna feel loose in the binding, but it gives you that extra, almost like the candid footbed, where you're getting that roll and that flexibility where you need it, but you're getting that extra stability on the outside of the sole. So pretty cool thing that they do to the boot that just gives it that extra feature without actually having to add something to the boot to make it more expensive. But obviously traditional lace on this one as well, but you see that boa on the side. And what that is that's part of the Conda system. So you basically custom lace your boot how you want it on the outside, and then the Conda is actually attached to a piece inside the boot. And instead of having an internal lace, they have that piece that actually helps grab right around your ankle and push your ankle into the boot. So you can really fine tune how your boot fits. All right, and last up we have the Maysis. This is pretty much one of the best-selling boots on the market. Definitely K2's best-selling boot. We've got a dual boa on this one, but it is a little different than other dual boas. Usually with a dual boa boot, your upper boa does the top part and your lower boot does the lower part. This one you basically have got the single boa option here, so you basically crank how tight you like your boot. If you want that little bit looser fit, you're not gonna sacrifice ankle fit because again, we got that piece on the side and that cranks the Conda again. So again, that piece is right on your ankle inside the boot, and when you crank that down, it really helps lock just your heel in. So you can get that nice snug feel inside the boot, and then you customize the outside of the boot to how you want it to fit. We've got that Intuition liner in there, so fully heat moldable. And then the outsole on this thing, it's called the This Grips. So it's a super grippy, very durable rubber compound, and then they got their Harshmallow cushioning in there, so you get a nice, soft, easy fit against your foot, but then you get that super grippy sole on the outside as well. All right, thanks for checking out some of our favorites from K2 for the 2021 season. You can obviously check out all of this and the whole K2 line at thehouse.com. If you got any questions about this stuff or any of the K2 stuff on our website, leave us a comment below. We're on there every day answering your questions. Definitely want to try to get you in the best gear possible to fit your riding style and your needs. Like, subscribe, get that bell on so you find out when the new videos pop up. And get out and ride. Snow is falling. Season is here. Any day of riding is a good day of riding. Whew. It's getting hot in this thing. Khaki pants were not a good idea for today's raining.